for more than humans and dignity for each and everybody of us when it comes to life, when it comes to the ecosystem. It's a great pleasure, and I believe this is only just the beginning, because there's quite a lot of training and understanding that needs to happen, so that we see, okay, there's items like, or elements like snakes, and spiders that people are afraid of. So how do we deal with that, because nature is a full circle. It's not just the beautiful aspects of it, there's also scary aspects of it for different people. So again, how do we deal with this? So I'm happy incorporation into policy has happened, but this is a growing process. It's a living process. Yeah.
Yes, I like what you said about incorporation of policy, because often when people think about it was interesting, those funny conversations about what biophilia is and what biophobia is. Yeah, and a lot of the conversations was around reducing harm. But what you were saying is not about reducing harm, it's about infusing life. So if we infuse life, then automatically we are going to be in the process of reducing harm.
Yeah.
And it was very also very poignant that we had delegates that came from other parts of Africa. So it was not just a Kenyan conversation. It was a conversation with South Africans, with people from Togo, with people from Uganda, with people from the United States of America. And we are. I think the intention is that Africa will make a home, and the Green Biophilic Society is championing this conversation, and that we can lead, Africa can take the lead in this. And if you just maybe perhaps think about, just pause.
Oh man.
Pause.
Hey, my friend.
Okay, now is when I'm gonna spank you with a shoe.
Hey.
Don't do that.
He's like, hey, you guys are talking.
No, don't put yours on. Go away.
Okay, it's still burning, so
you edit it.
Yeah, I'll
okay.
edit it. No worries.
Well, biophilia. And then even my shoe. When did he get my shoe? From there, I thrown them over there.
These guys are cheeky.
He brought it so I can tandika him on the head with it.
All right, no worries. Let's keep on.
The mic.
I was asking about Thor because
the mic. Oh, sorry.
He keeps them
in check.
Yeah. But he's getting old now. How's that?
It's cool.
Okay.
I like it.
Let me.
You see the problem?
It's cool. I like it.
When you're talking, then I want to. You're provoking me.
You want to interject.
Is this in the script? Stick to what? You're saying things that I'm like. You're getting me fired up. Okay.
Togo, Kenya.
Yeah. Where was I? Now, these guys, they made me lose my spot.
You're talking about Togo, Kenya being the lead for that conversation.
Yes, but because I'm looking at some of the prompts that they have put here about creating, how does it, making Africa home. What does it say? Because we've talked about the proof is already here. So an Africa that feels like home, but it's more than maybe we is it growing?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, so the Green Biophilic wants to make an Africa that feels like home.
Yeah.
But I think we want to make a planet that feels like home. So what we are doing in Africa is going to be rooted in our African knowledge systems and our indigenous knowledge systems. Whenever we speak about regeneration, we do tend to speak about decoloniality. And when I think about the built environment, and I think about our building codes, and I think about our training systems, they were brought to us by outsiders. And that's not to say I'm not saying it's positive or negative. It's just what it is. But we are, for example, you can speak into this. When people are building in Kenya, we love to build buildings with sloped roofs. But those roofs are made for environments where they have heavy snow, and the roofs need to be sloped so that when the snow falls, it doesn't overwhelm the building and it pours down into the soil. So if we are trying to make, if the built environment is contributing to an Africa that feels like home, what are the provocations that the Green Biophilic Society is bringing into our African indigenous knowledge systems? Are they valid? How and you're talking about regulation and policy, and that was spoken about as well at the conference. how do we have those conversations that validate that which has been passed on to us? But thank God for exposure. Thank God for being able to cross-pollinate with other knowledge systems. But how do we ensure that moving forward, Africa is building on knowledge that is embedded in our soil, but that others can draw from, can be inspired by, and contextualize for themselves. Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, I'd like to really speak on this. I've had so many people ask me or tell me, Wangui, isn't biophilia just green building? Isn't biophilia or biophilic design a new term for green building? But there's one thing I've come to learn, and this is from reading my favorite book so many times. It's called The Celestine Prophecy, and it really speaks about nature, energy, and just the aspects of how interconnected humans are with the natural world. And I've come to learn that the questions that we ask, and I mentioned this during the conference, the questions that we ask guide us on how we live our lives and how we structure our lives. And green building asks us, how do we reduce harm? How do we reduce all this harm that we've brought on the planet? But biophilia asks, how do we regenerate life? So we are not coming from a position of harm. We are coming from a position of regeneration. And regeneration is all about, the pollinators, the food systems, the architecture, that even when we are not here, how does the building that you live disintegrate into the earth without creating harm, So when we look at how do we contextualize, how do we have architecture that is African, that is speaking to us as Africans, it's simple, Our ancestors have left footprints behind. There's documented knowledge from West Africa, from the whole of Africa, on how our architecture looked like, on how and why it was created to be the way it is. When you look at Kikuyu architecture, for example, there's a reason why the nyoba, a woman's hat, was circular. There's a reason why the axis was, put where it was put. There's a reason why the cattle were in the house, and how the house was segmented and divided. The place where you'd receive visitors, the courtyard, all these things exists. It's for us to slow down, look at why this architecture was designed like this, look at the shape, look at the forms that worked, for them without any interference from the West, because these people were smart and they designed in context and in relation to how the climate was. So just look at that. But then with the technology that the West has, we can really pick up all this knowledge that existed for the different tribes, for the different countries in Africa. And using that tech, we can then amplify the architecture that our ancestors had, and just work with that and make it better and more beautiful. And that remains within our contexts. So we don't have to copy sloping roofs. We use what was functional back then.
Yes.
But then with the tech that the West has, use that to make it more scalable, And I think that is how we remain contextual.
Yes. You got me thinking about when you're talking about the nyoba, and they were built by women.
Yes.
And they understood climate, they understood function, they understood longevity.
Yeah.
There's a technology that they were working with, that what I hear you say is that it was not invalid, but we will draw from that, and we will amplify it, and we will make it so that we will carry it forward. And what I hear you saying is, you're speaking of biophilia as an African homecoming.
Yeah.
So it's not that we are getting highfalutin ideas from other parts of the world, but it is actually who we are as Africans.
Yes.
And at the conference as well, we saw people who have piloted projects in biophilia within the built environment, and in other outside of the built environment. When we speak of the built environment, we can never speak of it in isolation with other systems, right? So when it comes to biophilia, we're also thinking about systems thinking.
Yes.
And Kai spoke extensively about that at the conference. So
Can you just pause?
What is that? Oh my lord, these guys.
At this point, we have now to put them in quarantine. Come here.
And they know they're doing something wrong. Look at that.
What have they done?
They owe me a bag.
My lord.
What?
Let me see.
I have the shit. Let's just try it.
Just bring it.
Bring it here.
Bring
Don't
it
leave it
here.
there.
Even the other one.
Or we could hang it on a tree.
Yeah, let me bring them.
Bring them both. My god.
Wow, these guys are really playful.
There's a stick of I don't like using a stick with them though, because it makes they'll bite people.
Ah.
Yeah. Because now when they see a stick, if somebody like kids like to run around with sticks, they bark at them. Okay, yeah, put it here next to me. I will twang at them with my slippers.
That they brought you.
Let's keep on.
Only. I don't know where the girls are. They usually take them away.
Oh, they're around.
Yeah, those people wake up when they wake up.
Hey. Me adopt Fizzy.
You know, it got to a point where you're like, I'm not fighting with these people. They're going back to school soon anyway. Yeah. So what I was saying is the first conference was people were curious. They're like, what is this? But they are. Is it running?
Yeah,
maybe say.
Good.
Yeah. The first conference was a lot of curiosity about what biophilia is. So a lot of the people that came to the conference were just coming to learn. But it was interesting this year. People came with a little bit more understanding, but there is work that has been going on with biophilia on the continent and in our nation. But it feels like people have been prototyping and then piloting. So how do we move from prototypes and pilots to creating a living ecosystem? So what we're looking at is prototype pilots into systems. We want to develop systems, and we want it to be just biophilia should not be an option, but it should be embedded into how we work, how we build, how we raise our kids, how we do life in Kenya.
Yeah.
So I know that there are systems and structures that have been created in the society, and even with the company. So how can people